Welcome. You're watching The Big Question. I'm Tamanna Inamdar. Once a symbol of growth and global prowess, India's IT sector is currently facing perhaps its biggest challenge yet. From dipping revenues to talent stagnation, the recent Q4 earnings of the creme de la creme of Indian IT companies is only the latest reason why a series of alarm bells have been ringing. The country's largest IT services firm, Tata Consultancy Services, for example, reported a 1.3% decline in the March quarter net profit to 12,224 crores. While TCS beat estimates, it reported the slowest revenue growth in 4 years at 64,479 crores. TCS has also deferred annual salary hikes amidst global uncertainty, citing US tariff tensions and macroeconomic headwinds. Employee costs rose just 4% in FY25, marking the slowest growth in the company's history. India's second largest IT company, Infosys, reported a 2% decline in revenues at 40,925 crore rupees. Not only did Infosys miss its FY25 revenue guidance of 4.5 to 5%, it's also lowered its revenue guidance for next year at 0 to 3%. Wipro too is waiving caution-slashing guidance rates and has not given any hiring targets due to the uncertainty around tariff announcements. But this downturn is not just limited to last week's earnings, nor is it about global headwinds and Trump-era tariffs. Indian IT is perhaps at an inflection point. The number of IT companies established in India has plummeted by over 90% in the past 5 years, according to a recent government response in the Lok Sabha. In fact, India's IT hub, Karnataka, recorded a sharp decline in the number of new IT companies formed in the last 5 years, from over 2,500 in FY20 to 212 in FY25. At the heart of this crisis is perhaps a deeper question. An industry once celebrated for innovation is now accused of playing catch-up in the age of AI. Consider this: India only accounts for 0.37% of global AI patents granted, lagging far behind China's 70% and the USA's 14%, according to the latest Stanford AI Index report. Similarly, when it comes to attracting private investments in the past 10 years, India logged just $11 billion as compared to the USA's $471 billion and China's $119 billion. India also trails in startup activity. In 2024, it saw only 74 new AI startups compared to the over 1,000 US startups and close to 100 in China. Yet the irony: India recorded the world's highest year-on-year growth in AI hiring at 33.4%. So while Indian talent is thriving, the companies are struggling. Indian IT firms have long been known for being service providers to global clients, a job which perhaps is threatened and could fast vanish with the rise of AI. Hence, the big question we're asking is, what is ailing India's IT sector and what needs to be done to make sure Indian IT companies are back to their glory days? To speak on this, I'm joined today by Neeti Sharma, CEO of TeamLease Digital, Sanjeev Kumar Gupta, CEO of Karnataka Digital Economy Mission. I'm also speaking with Shiv Kapoor, Director, APAC Corporates Fitch Ratings. Welcome to all of you, and thank you so much for joining us on the show. Shiv Kapoor, let me begin with you on the take I have laid out, the context I have laid out in the opening remarks. Do you think we're being harsh when we say that there is a structural issue Indian IT is facing, and this has been going on long before the US president came in and upset the world with this tariff war?
Yeah, I think it's an interesting point. I think what we've seen over the last couple of years has been a moderation of the very aggressive growth we saw during the pandemic period, where many companies accelerated some of that technology spending. I think on a forward-looking basis, what we're seeing is we are expecting revenue to be in the sort of mid to low to mid single-digit revenue growth for most of these companies. And I think what we've seen is there was some positive sentiment coming into sort of the new year. But then with the introduction of these tariffs, I think that positive sentiment has subsided. So I think very much we've got a lot of the customers in a wait and see mode where there's large discretionary spending that they may have done. They are still trying to evaluate whether those projects are going to be sort of profitable for them and cost efficient. I think what we are still seeing is that customers are still spending on optimization and operational efficiency focused projects. So I think even though there's going to be a likely slowdown, we're not expecting revenue to sort of flatten or dramatically decrease.
Okay, we must put this in context. Of course, these are very large companies with huge revenues and a strong base. It's not as if the Indian IT sector is going to disappear tomorrow. We're asking if the innovation that we're seeing in the world is something that our own IT sector is keeping up with. And is that the problem we're seeing beginning to reflect in results quarter after quarter? I want to welcome, in fact, Mr. C.P. Gurnani to the conversation. He's co-founder of AI on OS and former CEO of Tech Mahindra. Mr. Gurnani, thank you so much. I don't know if you had a chance to listen to my introduction where we're asking the deeper question that what's ailing the Indian IT companies right now, and their quarterly numbers are frankly just a reflection of maybe a deeper problem. Doesn't this precede this Trump tariff era?
Tamanna, there is a temporary pain, and that pain is for a couple of reasons that we all know. Number one, there is an AI wave, and in that AI wave, individuals have adopted AI a lot better than the corporates have. So obviously, there is a lag between where the corporates will take a decision on AI versus the developmental projects or the discretionary projects. The second part is very clear, the geopolitical stresses. I mean, if you don't know what your goods are going to cost you, if you don't know what the next day's executive order would be, I mean, people do not sign on discretionary IT spend. And number third clearly is that people who have used AI or the modern tools internally have realized there are productivity and efficiency gains. So it reflects in your manpower hiring. So, but my belief is that the pain is temporary.
But why, okay, Mr. Gurnani, why do you think the pain is temporary? If you see what Indian IT has traditionally been known for, we started off providing lower cost options to the world. In a world of AI plus GCCs, have we been able to honestly keep up? And can we continue resting on our laurels when the entire tech landscape is changing so dramatically?
Tamanna, go back. Y2K people thought was one moment in our lives, and if once the Y2K is over, we will never have the level of growth. Come forward, you had the internet boom and internet crisis. Since same way, when the COVID came in, people assumed the industry will come to a standstill because people are not coming to offices. When you talk about GCCs, which I believe is, again, Indian IT industry, GCCs have proven that if the focus is on product and platforms, the GCCs have delivered not only a back office function, as you call it, or a cost arbitrage function, as you call it, but they've delivered innovation, they've delivered R&D, they've delivered products to the rest of the world. So my, again, belief is that Indian IT industry is very resilient.
Okay.
They've built trust. They've built a capability to move up the value chain. And it is not one part. I mean, the reality is that one day Mr. Satya Nadella will question whether the SaaS companies will exist or not. So the changes that are happening externally, both on the geopolitical front or on the technology front, are exponential. And I'm not blaming the industry. Industry is just taking a pause right now.
Can we afford to take that pause? Sanjeev Kumar Gupta, my question is to you. Is it not a valid question to ask where is our equivalent of DeepSeek? Where is our, okay, if we can't make an NVIDIA, what is the innovation that we're bringing through? And yes, we have stellar IT companies. We've done a lot in the startup space, in the tech space as well. But it seems lately that doing the same is not going to help. What is your take?
Tamanna, I think the innovation index is going up for India. And if you see in the last, I would say 18 months, I have seen the AI companies coming up at India level. More than 2,000 companies on AI, raising more than $5 billion. In fact, to my statistics, $3 billion in Karnataka alone. This shows the graph of where we are moving forward. You're talking about on IPs and etc. You find those results in coming years. So I am very optimistic on what AI is delivering as an innovation, and even implemented it across the sectors and domains. Second piece is not only this part, the deep tech, if you see the space tech, if you see the fintech, all these areas are now leveraging the emerging tech to extend that, hey, the clients are getting value, the customers are getting much more benefits. And as Mr. Gulani was talking about of productivity and efficiency coming up, to my view, our own versions of the global innovations happening around, maybe it will come out in a different version from our side. But we are on the track to make this happen. Is it true that we are lagging behind, or we are going away from that, or maybe a bit late? May not be. In fact, some of we started a bit earlier. We're starting at different forms and fashion. So I am pretty optimistic that in coming years, you will find that this wave of AI and the innovation and our versions of the portfolio of product and services will be far better than the global one, based on the one.
But based on what, sir? When I appreciate the optimism, Mr. Gupta, but what is it based on? We all want to cheer for our domestic IT companies, don't get me wrong. But we need to have a clear, unbiased look at what situation we are going through. In terms of innovation, in terms of providing solutions that others aren't, in terms of beating world standards, are we really there?
I think you asked me the question that why I'm optimistic. I'm optimistic because of only one parameter, which is the talent. See, the global talent on an AI, which is being available, is coming from India. More than 70,000 plus AI great talent resources are delivered from the country, right? So if you see, my optimism is this reasoning is about the talent part of it. Second is the gates from the different corporates, including our large public sector units like ISRO and others, has opening up for this part and accepting that, hey, if you have a talent, you have an idea, I want to partner with you, quote unquote, co-innovate. And I think this will take a little bit more time for us, but we are on the right track based off of a very strong strength of talent. So if you ask me, why can't we beat XYZ country in the world? It's not beating about the technology on the numbers. We'll beat on the technology and the scale of the technology that can be taken up.
When we're talking about talent, let me come to Neeti Sharma on this point. What are the kind of trends that you're seeing in Indian IT? What we're hearing, of course, from the top companies is that there will be a go slow. We're not sure about what kind of hikes will be seen this time round. What are the trends that you are seeing on ground?
Yeah. So Tamanna, while it just seems that the Indian IT companies don't have a respite yet, I think for the last 2 years we're seeing the struggle. The hiring is actually on the lower side. But from FY24 to FY25, we've seen that almost 60,000 odd new hiring has happened across the IT services companies, which means there's an upside. Not only freshers, a lot of laterals have actually been hired. We were hoping that after the Q4 closures, Q1 will start looking up. Right now, because of the geopolitical situations, I think, like Mr. Gurnani said, maybe it's slowing down, it's pausing. So companies are not hiring new talent in high volumes. They're probably looking at replacement hiring. And in my view, it will be a wait and watch for another quarter or so, at least. I mean, we were all hoping from Q1 this year, we will start, looking at hirings going up. But I don't think that's happening even in this quarter. Even on the salaries, Tamanna.
Sorry, are you seeing a lot of hiring being replaced by AI solutions?
Not yet. I don't think that impact is in very high volume. And wherever it is, we've also seen that the demand for AI talent is actually going up substantially. And this is not just AI, quote unquote. It is actually, ML engineers, product engineers, prompt engineers, cybersecurity, experts, data analytics experts. So the roles definition is changing. I mean, in our world, we call it the JD, right? The job description is changing, but the type of people that are looking for skills actually is in really high demand. And to what both Mr. Gupta and Mr. Gurnani said, I think in India, you called it out saying we were a cost play. I think right now we have become a value play, especially with GCCs coming in and hiring talent which is skilled in specific domains and technologies. I think that ask is continuing. So that's not going away. Maybe in the services industry, yes. Also, to add to what Mr. Gupta was saying, I think our domestic consumption of technology is going up substantially. So while yes, global demand is where it is right now, I think the last few quarters we've seen, substantial increase in domestic tech requirement, which will also increase the number of net jobs that are getting created for the IT sector in India. Having said that, it's not enough. It's definitely not where we were 4 years ago.
Yeah. Okay. Let's just break this down, Mr. Gurnani. I want to come to you because I think no one better than you to answer this question. Are we going to need as many coders? Do we need as many coders right now?
The fact is there will be job shifts, and it has always happened in every industrial changes in the world. If I were to go back and look at the job requirements of today, they are all about data scientists. You need more and more data scientists today. Now, I do believe that we will have to reprogram ourselves in terms of anticipating what the requirements are. We will have to align ourselves to become more design engineers, more engineering talent, which is tooled towards the AI environment. So yes, we may not require just the coders. We will now require people who develop the use cases. So take a pause for a minute and look at, everybody seems to be fighting an LLM race. You start saying, oh, DeepSeek was developed for 5 million. Somebody is saying we will develop Hanumanji for 1 million. Hanumanji is a LLM that one of our Indian companies is developing. And similarly, at least I know of 6 LLMs being developed, including my previous organization, which is enriching the Indian language LLM called Indus. So the fundamental point is India's advantage is not only in developing an LLM or an infrastructure, but being able to develop the use cases. And we have done a great job in that. If we pool our resources, if we start talking about where we want to make a difference, we will start looking at what we can do for food security, what we can do for any of the vertical logistics, warehousing, healthcare.
Mr. Gurnani, if I can come in, every major tech breakthrough you hear and innovation you hear about is a small group of people doing it in an IIT or in some kind of an incubation. What exactly is the USP? Are large Indian IT companies that have been the most coveted job providers, what are they going to be bringing to the table, and can they just continue coasting along on the success that is here and now?
So, Tamanna, you never asked an Indigo or a Air India that why they don't manufacture planes. They do a good job of buying planes from someone and flying them from one destination to another.
But it's a very monopolistic business. It's a very monopolistic business.
IT services, Tamanna, IT services company focused on services. They have innovated. They moved up the value chain. They would not have become the largest India has become the largest outsourcing hub in the world only because Indian IT has continuously moved up the value chain. So in terms of products, I mean, I know that, we have seen a lot of new products being developed. The reality is that the 5G stack was developed in India. Reality is that even COVID vaccination, Bharat, developed their own COVID vaccine in India. So the point is, these are two different industries. One is product and one is services. On product, the startups have started focusing on it. Large companies have focused on services and becoming better and bigger. The GCCs have done a hybrid. They develop products. They are developing in India. So I personally believe India has the capability, India has the competence. It is just a question of recalibrating to the new world.
Sir, you and I are on the
also-
same page. India has the capability, India has the competence. What have we been doing is the question. We're all collectively asking here. Mr. Gupta. Yeah.
I mean,
Mr. Gupta.
I mean, when you sneeze, it does not mean you have typhoid.
Okay. So it's a sneeze, it's not typhoid. It's an interesting way to put it. Mr. Gupta, do you agree with that? What do we need to do to get back on track?
I think we have one more point which is very important to observe is that new emerging towns, the tier two towns in the country, are coming out on the forefront of innovation as well, both for the maybe a global product design and also as well as for domestic problem statement and solution. One part. The second part is the GCCs have started looking at creating innovation in their segment. And in fact, the value chain has gone up that, as I was using a word economic, all the large GCCs of different domains, they have started reaching out to find out, hey, what is the startup ecosystem that you have, which we can leverage and work together. In fact, some of them has gone forward in terms of academic institution partnerships, and they are very eagerly looking at it. Observe the fact that, hey, the tier two town and tier three towns are solving some problems and coming on forefront of the country. Second is GCCs are coming up and taking up the wave of both services and product development. And now third part of GCC is to find out the startup ecosystem where they can leverage. So in my view, if these two things are coming up, we need to strengthen certain initiatives from the, both the industry as well as from the government side. Industry A to partner more deeply, especially the services companies and the larger business enterprises of the India. They need to start looking at and finding out solutions. Forget that MSME is not being touched yet at all, right? So that means that a huge amount of potential lies for us to find out a solution which can cater to those parts. So industry needs to come in.
I'm sorry, do Indian IT companies want to build solutions for MSMEs? They want global BFSI clients. I'm talking about the large ones. Shiv Kapoor, do you want to come in? Do you want to weigh in on this debate? We've had a lot of...
Can I just finish the last point that I'm making it?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. So one is that part which is coming up from a GCC angle. I was saying the government also needs to do a bit more one. Now the infrastructure, the talent side, and you picked up the right thing, Tamanna ji. These are the couple of areas where you have to now focus on a micro detailing perspective rather than just leaving it a very macro policy initiatives. For example, let's say, can we have now SEZ has now over? Can we come out with a policy which talked about of special digital economy cluster zones, focusing only on the real potential of the towns in the country, looking at a micro data centers that can work around, finding out the way that the global organizations can set up operations like a nano GCCs, operations of those kinds can come up in the towns there. This wave itself and the larger part of the global, for example, Southeast Asia, looking at that market space rather than depending upon the US alone, looking at the Eastern Europe and the Western Europe, looking at expanding the global market space for services. These are the couple of areas where I feel that if we bring together this partnership from the government and industry, that is a high growth potential coming out.
Okay. So a lot of great ideas there, no doubt. Shiv, I wanted you to come in on the debate that we've been having here. Where have we been lagging, especially in our very large IT companies, and where do they need to pivot to not just flourish, but even to thrive and survive?
Yeah, I think in terms of the long-term structural trends, as everyone else has mentioned, AI is the really big one. I think probably I'd look at AI from two aspects. One is external demand. So we're expecting customers to increasingly utilize AI to improve efficiency and also generate revenue growth. I think some of that productivity gain will be shared with customers, so there might be some negative impact there. However, our expectation is this will be offset by an increased total volume of projects. So effectively, AI is going to increase the size of the pie, and Indian IT services will be able to take advantage of that. I think Indian IT services have the strong advantage of a huge global workforce, as well as very, very many talented employees. And increasingly, these companies are training their employees to be AI proficient. However, in terms of the long-term trajectory, if the sectors continue to grow, that will also require increasing employees. But as people have mentioned earlier, maybe a different type of employee, maybe more of a digital AI trained employee rather than a sort of consultancy-based employee.
Ms. Sharma, are we ready for that kind of employee? What we're teaching our graduates, who've been flocking and waiting for these jobs, are they ready? Because we've been hearing heartbreaking stories of people who got an offer letter and then weren't onboarded, who've been sitting on the bench and who've seen those dreams really crack.
Absolutely. So I don't think we will ever be ready basis industry requirement. But I think what the institutions are doing now is bringing in, learning on the job, or let's something like an apprenticeship or an internship program, which the new education policy also defines very clearly as an integral part. So, will employability start shifting? I think that's a question we need to answer. We have to bring in more and more employable candidates into the workforce, into the labor markets, and I think that's where we'll be able to demand a higher share of the AI pie as well. Having said that, I think individuals are learning on their own. Interestingly, I was talking to a CTO of an IT services company, and this came out very clearly that they will not ask for their lines of code as an assessment, but probably their prompt lines. I think it's quite interesting on how the dynamics are shifting on our own assessment of candidates that are coming into the workforce. So I think that is getting shifted. Employers are making a lot of investment in upskilling their existing workforce. But I think as an ecosystem, Sanjeev ji said about the government making investments. I think industry has to make investments.
Yeah.
Individuals also have to make investments. I mean, we can't be waiting saying, once I get a job, then my company will make investment and upgrade. 2 years I have sat down with an offer letter. The least I can do is keep upskilling myself, be ready for whatever comes in next, in whatever shape and form. It need not be financial investments,
Sure.
but there are so many programs.
So
but just be ready.
It's an inflection point for the Indian IT sector, and this program has been done, this conversation had, and this question asked from the point of view of not losing grip of something that we have been on top of against all odds. The growth of Indian IT has been quite a miracle, isn't it, in terms of our exports and what the economy has done. How do we make sure we have that competitive edge is the question. Thank you so much to all of you for joining us on the show today, and to our viewers, thank you for tuning in.